welcome to BRB Fancast. I'm AJ, and joined with me, as always, is Steve. Now, Steve, we've heard the old adage, kind of riddle of if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around, does it make a sound? So, kind of the same question here. If we have a road win, but it's against San Jose, is it really a road win?
Yeah, or like even if it's in a situation where it doesn't matter, does it really count? And I would say yeah, just because we got that 7,000-pound monkey off our back of not winning a road game in over a year. But when you're beating up against a team like San Jose, I mean, like we said, we can only play the guys that are in front of us. So it does kind of feel like, yeah, we got to win, but we got to win. And at the end of the day, it feels good to write a W on my calendar as opposed to another L or the dreaded D.
Yeah, and I obviously I jest, but a win is a win. And the thing is San Jose is a horrible team, but so any team out there can win. And I can't remember if it was Apple announcers or if it was when I was watching the Mizzou game, but they literally said the exact same kind of thing you did, which is you play the team in front of you. Like, you can't look at their record because, any given day, a team can show up and they can surprise you. AKA like the Mizzou game in Vandy. Oh my gosh, that's a whole different discussion. And, poor Cook. But anyways, maybe someday. But yeah, this game was interesting. And just real quick, overall thoughts, like, how did you feel about this game? Do you feel reassured? Is this more kind of like, yeah, we won, but what do you think?
I am, that's a really great question, because as I was watching it, I am back to where I was at the beginning of the year, where I didn't really think that this team was going to pull it off. I didn't think that it was a strong performance. When we went up pretty early, very quick. It was great against a team. You and I texted, we probably should have guessed 5 goals as opposed to 2, which what we did. And then they kind of settled in. And then we saw that San Jose pretty much ran the show for the second half of the first half, like 25 minutes on to the end of the half. They were in complete control. They just didn't score because they're just not a great team right now. But I think we have to look at where are they going to be next year, because Colorado won the Spoon last year and now they're in 3rd place in the West. So we can't discount that. But we look at all the players that are scoring for us now, and those are the guys we got in the summer transfer window. And as you and I were discussing, pretty much by the Leagues Cup, let's look at next year. Let's get excited. Let's just hope that this team is playing better. And, I think we're going into the end of the season where it's like, at least we're excited about these new guys and probably going to help ticket sales for next year. But I wasn't overly reassured that this is a great team moving forward. And I want to say I'm not convinced that John Hackworth should be our head coach. I guess I got to take a hot take there, that just because he's won 3 games since he took over, this is not like he's not a world beater. He's not, name your MLS coach. He ain't it. So
can I take a lava take? So even hotter of a take. So I actually feel like they might have actually gotten worse. Now you might say, well, what do you mean? We got a road win, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is, though, is like when Bradley Cardell was here, we didn't have Harl, we didn't have Toyshirt. I don't think JGR was there at the time, or Horn, or any of these guys. Like, we didn't have the reinforcements. And I'm sorry, Harl's made a huge difference. For instance, his goals added, so the G+ stat for this game was 0.4. That's pretty darn good, which means that based on the stats, he should have just himself added 0.4 goals to our total. Like, he's made a huge difference. I expect this team to have blown out San Jose with these players. I expect this team not to be struggling when we have the lead, and it looks like we're trying to prevent defense and football, and then giving up the 50-yard plus run. Like, that's what it felt like these past few games. So I agree. What I'm trying to say is I agree with you.
Well, and I think it comes down to the team has lost its identity. Last year, you're that high press team. It seems like the team tries to press every now and then, but it definitely isn't that high octane, that Red Bull type team that we were used to seeing last year. And probably because we have all these new guys, probably because there's been such a transition that we don't have this. So hopefully moving into next year, we can get a head coach that can bring in a true identity. This is what the team is going to be. And then we can kind of look for that. Because right now, yeah, we don't, like you're saying, like we've got some of these new players, but like, what are we as a team? And right now we're a team that, let's be honest, San Jose is horrible. We're also in 12th place. So we're also not a good team this year. So, I mean, I don't think we're the organizational mess that San Jose is, but like right now, we've not been a good team.
And the thing about the head coach too is we need a coach and a front office that adapts to the players. There was one day I was listening to ESPN radio and they were talking about some sport. Of course they were, not necessarily soccer.
Politics.
And yeah, I know, right? But what they were kind of saying is that a head coach shouldn't come in and impose his play style on the players. You have to look at the players and say, okay, what are these guys most capable of and make them successful with that. So the thing is maybe that's what Hackworth thinks he's doing. And maybe he kind of is, maybe. And he's seeing, hey, I know we want to be a pressing team, but maybe we just really don't have the personnel for this. Maybe with Hartle, Toyshirt, and all that, we need a little bit more of a build-up, a little bit more of possession. Maybe, Yeah. I just hope that they adapt to the players that we have because we have some really good players. Hartle, Toyshirt, all these guys are great. I was actually looking up because my girlfriend was asking about Suarez because we were watching the Miami game, and she's like, how good is Hartle compared to Suarez? So I looked it up, and I pulled up SofaScore where you can like compare the different categories on people. And I get these are just statistics, not eye test. And of course, Suarez being a striker had a much better attack. But when you look at Hartle, his creativity is much higher. His defense is much higher. His technical and tactical is higher as well. And the point that I'm trying to make is I get that they play two different positions and stuff like that, but it just kind of shows that he's a quality guy. And I probably should do more of a one-to-one comparison, but since she had asked that specific question, like we have quality players. Honestly, I think at a bare minimum, tell me what you think, Steve, goal or no goal on me.
Yeah.
I think at a bare minimum, we're 5th place next year with these players.
I would say 5th through 8th for sure. I think that you got those 1 through 4 teams right now are probably going to stay there. You got both LA's, RSL, and Colorado are probably a lock for those top 4. I think for sure we're a playoff team with a home game or 2 in hand. I think that for sure. I think that, yeah, that's what I think. I think for sure, goal for sure that we are definitely a playoff team next year. We'll say that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think we're much better than obviously the record because the record is talking about before the summer transfer window, but I think we're there. So let's kind of move on with this game here. So one thing I wanted to kind of talk about is because a lot of people were kind of shocked about this 4-1-4-1. And when I saw that, I wasn't as shocked because we knew that Leuven wasn't playing, and they said it was due to load management, not anything injury related, not anything due to his wife like decompensating, but they said that this is more due to load management. Now, normally with the 4-2-3-1, the 2 part of it, right, is a double pivot. So imagine Durkin and Leuven. And what we mean by double pivot, for people who aren't used to that term, is if one player starts to go more attacking, the other player goes more defensive. It's kind of like a teeter-totter, where if one goes higher, the other one goes lower, and then it might reverse. But in this format, basically what you had is you had Durkin staying lower, so right above the back 4, he was staying lower, and then he didn't go up very high. So that's kind of the difference. And then it looked like Hartle was basically taking kind of the Leuven role. So imagine that double pivot, but instead of being flexible where it goes back and forth, it was more stuck. So Hartle was kind of being the Leuven position, and Durkin and then later Watts was supposed to be that defensive mid. So I don't think the formation was that all that surprising, except you did bring Hartle back a little bit more than I think we've seen before. I kind of like him higher up on the pitch, honestly. Kind of more true midfield towards the attacking side. Last night, he was more semi box to box, and the stats heat map that Apple showed kind of confirmed that. So I just want to kind of point that out. I don't really have a comment on that other than that people were shocked to see this. I wasn't, because it's basically what we've been doing.
Right. Well, at this point of the season, it's time to try new things. It's time to look at different combinations of players and profiles and positions. And if we're going to do it against a team like San Jose, is the one to do it, where you're probably going to be no matter what position you pull out there. You can pull out an 8-1 or something, it'll probably still win. But like whatever the team did, it seemed to work. I liked the position of the formation. I thought it was fun, and it definitely started off great, and then poor old Durkin got hurt, and then Horn went out, and then we can see where the kind of the fall off on the team is. Once our starters are out of the match, you can see the entire kind of philosophy of the game change. And I think that's kind of what we saw once we had those players out, once that formation wasn't in place anymore. And I think that the coach isn't flexible enough. I don't think the coach was able to respond and change up things. And we can saw we were on our back heel for a while after that.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the passing maps and location maps, you had made mention near the end of the first half, you're like, man, in the past 20, 25 minutes, we just haven't looked as good. Well, unfortunately, that's when your Bulldog Durkin came out and Akil Watts came in. And you could see that Durkin, like on these maps, and I get that it was a smaller sample size and there was different kind of game going on, but Durkin was very much in that defensive mid. He really stayed in his lane. But then when you look at Akil Watts, he pushed forward a little harder, and he also was a little bit more wider than Durkin was. And I don't know how much that impacted the game. I don't know if San Jose was able to take advantage of that, but you could definitely see in the momentum maps and stuff like that, we started to lose it. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I was just checking. I just realized that because whenever we were talking about Dirk and I, in my head, I'm envisioning those shorty shorts he wears out there. And for some reason, it's just in my head. And like Kessler wears the same. Really, Kessler wasn't even on the lineup as well either last night. And
Concussion.
So we got these pretty significant players that weren't in. And once they do go down, that map changes, and like the entire, just the way that we play just kind of just alters. It's pretty much almost like a shift, like a 45-degree shift, like it just tilted. And that was unfortunate for last night.
And it's interesting seeing how these players impact the game, because, like, for instance, I was talking about Watts coming in for Durkin, but when you saw that Horn, when he got substituted for Reed, you can see on the maps as well, Reed pushes up higher than Horn does. Horn kind of plays more of a traditional fullback role, at least last night, where Reed was playing more of like a wing back and trying to bring that ball forward, which honestly, again, changes what we're trying to do as well. I don't think the team adjusted as well as I would have hoped. Like, I felt like when we started, we scored 2 goals like in, 10 minutes or whatever it was?
Yeah.
I think we were close to the fastest goal for the year or something like that. I think they said on Apple TV, which is hard to believe. Not the fastest, but one of, obviously. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. But it doesn't seem like we really adjusted. So I don't know, like when we brought Reed in, if we should have changed our formation a little bit, if we should have looked a little different. And remember, formations are also fluid too, right? Just because we were 4-1, when we went into attack, it started turning into more of a 4-3-3. So like things are fluid, right?
Right.
So
I don't know. Do we not have a player that's like as comparable to what Durkin does? Because like Durkin and Watts could not be different players. And if Watts JGR, then we probably should have brought him in. But didn't JGR come in for Horn towards the end of the first half? Like
78th minute, yeah.
Yeah, why are we putting in Watts for Durkin when and JGR is right there? They're pretty similar players. Like, I don't know. If we're going to try to do the same thing, then why are we putting in completely different players? This is probably just my ignorance as a newer soccer fan, but like to me, it didn't make sense. Watts come in, like he's a smaller, faster guy. Durkin is a stronger, very tough guy, and they're not the same player.
I think the problem is what choice did we have? I mean, the one thing that's nice about JGR is he's a defensive midfielder slash center back. Last year he played as more of a center back, if I recall. And that would have been perfect actually for this formation because it's kind of like almost having a back five slash having back four with one that's kind of close, playing him kind of a mid center back. He would have been perfect. The only thing is with JGR is I think he's a little bit of an unknown commodity. He could have came out and done an equally as good a job as Watts, or he could have completely bombed it. I think that's why he was a little leery putting him on at the 23rd minute when Durkin came out is, okay, how's this guy actually going to do? Because It does seem like they've been easing him into it and stuff like that. Maybe he just doesn't have our style down yet. I mean, he's 20 years old?
Yeah, 20.
He's a youngin'.
He came in by
You can't even drink alcohol at this point. We both said at the same time. Exactly. So he's just a kid. So like maybe that's it. I don't know. So we got to do this. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. So Klaus, Thor, and our attackers. Where do you want to hit first?
Man, let's just do Thor. Let's do the worst part first.
So it almost felt like a cartoon out there with all the slipping.
Yeah.
Thor had like two major slips that I can kind of remember, and I think both of them kind of killed the drive. Do I blame him for that? No. There was other players slipping. It was all our players. It looked like the San Jose was prepared for this, but it's not like this is an unknown field. Like, I don't understand the slipping, especially in the second half. Like, if you're slipping out there, don't you say, hey, maybe I need to change my cleats or, do something? They do it in baseball all the time. Heck, in football, they'll do it like right there on the sideline. You see them kind of twisting it on. Like, they got to have different cleats for different field situations. But ignoring the slipping, how did you feel about Thor?
I don't know, man. I think it's the same, like we always say. Like, he's a strong end-to-end player, but it's like he just cannot finish. And it's just more of the same last night. Every time he missed the pass, every time he missed a shot, it's just like, yep, there he is. There's Thor again. And I don't know, man. It seems like online, people like us that talk about his deficiencies and how he's not the greatest thing since sliced bread, we're called haters for some reason. And I don't get that because we're taking an analytical kind of a fan approach to what we see out there. And I'm not impressed. His contract's due next year. So I'm hoping that we can get some more, once we build this team up a little more, we can find a spot for him. But I don't want him starting. Unless it's a game like this where it's a spot start where you have to give your normal starters some rest. But like I said, I'm not a Thor fan. I don't get it. How about you?
I mean, we said this a lot, right? He gets in the right positions. He just can't finish. It's almost comical how bad his finishing ability is. But I think, Steve, we're in luck because next year we have some injured players coming back. I'm sorry, you cannot have Thor on the field and sit Celio. Like, Celio is way, way better. Yeah, right. So, like, in this game, Thor played the left wing. Obviously, you're going to put Thor there. Like, if you were doing this 4-1-4-1, Celio's definitely going to be there. And Thor's not going to be on the right. I would rather have Alm.
Right. Well, and Alm was amazing last night. I mean, but like, yeah, I can't wait to have Celio back. He's our future. Thor is just the fill-in. And you're right. I think his better spot is going to be to come in. He's gonna be a late sub. That's okay. He can be a late sub guy.
And I think
his money.
Thor's a very serviceable sub. I actually like him as a sub. He can be explosive. He can make some stuff happen, like as a desperate attempt. He's not the kind of guy who's just like, okay, kind of good, just average. Like, there's times where he can show flashes of brilliance, and sometimes you need to roll the dice and hit that 6, the hard 6.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Klaus, though, how did you think he played? Like, what was your feelings on him?
It's almost like the same line as Thor. I think you had mentioned a stat. You showed me a stat that he's on the leader of Miss XG or something. And like, it kind of showed up last night where he was inches away from getting a couple goals, and he's just got the bad luck this year. He's been hurt. He just can't get there, and I don't know. I think I keep giving him more of the benefit of the doubt because he is our DP. He is one of our DPs, and maybe we find a way to. I don't know. I think find a good formation for him next year, where like kind of what you've been saying will be a better place. But like, yeah, it's better with him out there than with not for me. His big body, his ability to cut through, that's a really great thing to have out there. But he didn't score, so I mean, other than that, really not much you can say. I don't. You saw his passing. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, he really wants to be this kind of playmaker role, this false nine. The problem is I don't think our style right now is fitting it, like with the personnel and stuff like that. Like Hartle's a playmaker, Lubin's a playmaker. Do we really need another playmaker? No, we need somebody to service this ball to. There was a lot of times 2 games ago where you saw Klaus's back to the net, like he's sitting on top of the box and he's there to bounce like passes around. But we really need somebody who's going to be the receiver. Like not everybody can be the quarterback. And I'm okay with Klaus if they really want him to do the false nine, but then you need to kind of support that. Toy Shirt definitely seems like he's the kind of guy who likes to play that secondary striker, just like below the main striker, below the action. And he's getting a lot of goals because of it. But we just need, I just feel like we need a true striker. Yeah. I don't know if this is just a refusal by Klaus to play the true striker role, or maybe they're telling him to do this. Maybe they're saying, hey, Klaus, go out, do what you normally do.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that's bad coaching.
Okay. So is it wrong that as I was watching this game last night, it hit me like that Klaus was our second DP we signed after Lewin, that like he was our big attraction. I'm looking at their posters. He is front and center for those things. And I'm looking at the players we have now, and I thought to myself last night, maybe he's not a DP at this point. Like maybe we got excited for a player that we didn't know that was our best DP. Like maybe that's not him anymore with what we have right now. And I don't know. And I felt that. And now I'm looking at how he's playing. And I was like, well, maybe that's true. Maybe he shouldn't be our main offensive attraction anymore. Maybe he's not, maybe I don't know. That's just what I thought. Like he's not, like we look at what we have now versus what we had last year. Sure. He was the number one guy, but it's like, I don't think you can say that right now.
Yeah. And if you look at his map, because kind of going back to that false nine, if you look at it, his like average positioning and stuff like that wasn't even in the box. He was mostly in kind of midfield. He was playing more of like a attacking mid, more so than like a striker, for instance. Thor had a higher positioning, arguably. He had a little bit longer positioning, but he even had some positioning inside the box. It just seems backwards, to be honest. But I agree. Like, is he a DP at this point? I don't know. Like, I still say that our eye test, because you and I are big about eye test. When you see his skill level, the kind of moves he can make, he's a notch above.
Yeah.
I just don't think his style is working with what we're doing. So either he needs to change or we need to change to support that.
And I don't think we need to change to support a player that's not playing the same style that we're trying to play, especially when
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I know. Now, it's going to be a wild off season.
Simon Betcher, right? So there's going to be fans that are listening right now and they're saying, hey, well, that's why we got Simon Betcher. He's awesome. He's the best thing ever. What do you think?
No, I think he is quickly regressing to the mean.
Yeah,
he came on strong. He had a couple goals right off the bat, and now all of a sudden he's just kind of, to me, he's just kind of, nope, hey, there's my dog again. Just kind of hanging out, and I'm not seeing that he's making a huge difference like he did when we first got here. And I just checked, his loan is through June of next year, so we got him for a while now, but I don't really see him being that. He's not our best player for sure.
Yeah, we got that buy option on him where we can buy him if we want, but And honestly, there's a good chance that we may, because if it's not Kloss, what are you going to do? Put Thor in?
Right.
We've had that experiment. Sorry, pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Simon Betcher is unfortunately somehow regressed. I don't think this game gives him a good opportunity to showcase, because he came on the 56th minute, and at that point, we were starting to do this whole prevent defense, kind of low to mid block, anyways. So we kind of gave up the attack. But even prior games, you're right, he started to regress.
Which, okay. I mean, yeah, he came on strong. He's shown us what he can do. And it's like, well, maybe he's another one of these super type subs that can come on late, which is great. We need those. We need those very, very strong players that don't have to be starters.
So, you ready for our favorite game?
Let's do it.
Goal or no goal?
That's right.
Presented by BRB Fancast.
Our favorite sponsor for sure.
All right, you want to go first, or shall I?
Yeah. So on Twitter, Coach Smitty says, "Is it me or does it look like City is on ice skates on this pitch in San Jose? Everyone is falling." Goal or no goal? It was like ice skates out there.
Man, goal. And that's what we were kind of saying earlier, man. Like, everybody's like sliding around, and even into the second half, there was still some sliding around, and honestly, it killed a few of our possessions, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's part of it, right? Like, the thing is, a lot of fans don't realize too, is that FIFA has size recommendations or requirements, but they're not all the same. So most MLS fields tend to be smaller than that of the Premier Leagues and stuff like that. Part of the reason why is that it gives more action, it keeps the ball closer, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Where the Premier League, it tends to be, however many yards wider. It's not like drastic, it's not like 20 yards, but still, it makes a huge difference. But also turf versus grass, the type of grass, everything, like all this makes a huge difference. How the ball moves, everything. I just don't feel like we came out prepared for that. And plus, they sat there and warmed up on this. How did they not have their cleats ready for this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It looked like they were like completely unprepared.
That's actually really frustrating, because your coaches and players should have been like, "Hey, we're slipping out here. Let's adjust." Nope. I'm sorry. That's a lot of fans think that the players just go out there. There's more to it, right? I've mentioned this before. People are going to have hate, but the referees, like, you got to know what kind of referee you have out there. Are they going to call a lot of fouls? Well, you have to play a little bit back, a little less physical.
Yep.
Or like this guy didn't really seem like he called a lot of fouls, so you played more aggressive.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right, you ready for mine?
Yeah.
All right, so let me pull this up here. So it's been a while since we've talked about this guy, Sam Adeniran. So this is from Reddit, and somebody had posted City Red 314, actually really great Reddit name. Some Philly fans already beating on Sam. So this is from the Philly Union subreddit. I'm convinced Adeniran snuck his way into the MLS, like a Disney movie where suddenly a soccer mom becomes a president or something.
Oh, geez.
Goal or no goal?
Yeah, that's a goal, man. I think he bamboozled a lot of us in St. Louis last year and into this year, and got a lot of fans to somehow say that he was being maltreated. And let's be honest, whatever Carnell was doing in the locker room definitely didn't help. That got him his job, so that cost him his job. So, but whatever it is, I was not sad to see Sam go, and it was really weird to see some St. Louis fans like really think that this cat was going to make a huge impact in Philadelphia. And sure enough, we're seeing it's not. Like, was it the Leagues Cup, or I think it was the Leagues Cup, where he had a chance to win them on a PK, and he put up the laziest ass PK you could imagine, and did nothing, and cost them the game, knocked them out of the tournament. And now they're getting to see what we saw, where he's lazy, doesn't really try, he's just out there taking his money, but he wants to be a starter.
Yeah, I feel like the whole Kloss versus Adeniran thing that we talked about so much in prior episodes was kind of like politics. Like, it was a presidential election, where you had half the people seem like they're like Adeniran for striker, and then half the people were saying Kloss for striker. No, I will say from day one, when that whole debate was starting, you and I, based on the eye test, said, yeah, Adeniran has some moves, but he can't pass. He just isn't going to be a long-term striker. And we held to that. We were steadfast in it. We gave our reasoning and we gave our eye test. I think we gave him a fair shake. And guess what? We were right about that.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not good. I think the best thing to say about Sam is it's that Gautier song, Somebody I Used to Know. He's just somebody that we used to know. We don't have to worry about that cat no more. Let Philadelphia. They want him, they can have him. All right. So go ahead.
And I was going to say is that, you know, we said basically the same thing about Thor when Thor kind of came onto the scene and everybody's like getting all excited about him. We could have said the same thing. We were like, hey, guys, this guy's got talent to get there. He just isn't a finisher. And we've held on to that. And guess what? That's what we're still seeing. And we still think that he's going to somehow get better. No, he is what he is. Yeah. So what were we going to say?
All right. So for this next one, did you happen to see that there was another however ref moment last night?
Oh, geez. No.
Yes. So the RSL versus Portland match, there was a controversial call and the ref went to the VAR. And when she came back, she announced that there were two players in a box. And then she said, however, and the fans lost their minds. The fans started booing her, but it turned out to be good for the home team, good for RSL. But like she did however, she was walking while she did it. So, and when she did, she said, however, like she did like the finger wag. And so I put a Twitter poll. I want to see what people think which one did it better. But like, what do you think? Who do you think did it better? However, our guy that paused and he did that, or a walking finger wag? Which one do you think is better?
So what I kind of saw the difference is with her here with the RSL, she was basically like, there's two players in the box, however, and then she went. Like she didn't pause, right? Like she was just like talking normal speech, right? Whereas the other guy was like, blah, 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 pause, however, and then he went. Like he purposely did it to make it like acting job. Like, you know, he was in high school doing acting class, or he was a thespian or something, and he was trying to make a mockery of it and bring attention to himself. A ref should not bring attention to themselves. Right. I feel like she was trying to just speak normally. Like there was two people in the box, however, they did not impact the play.
Yeah, I think she was trying to explain her thought process, which is great. She was able to kind of bring the crowd into what she was thinking. The cat that did our game was like, this is my moment. Yeah, this is what I'm going to say. And he had very forceful, I just watched, he had a very forceful tone the way he shouted. And then he did that move just to troll the crowd. That was, so let's see, goal or no goal. The guy that did, however, was better.
Define better, right?
a viral moment. There he was, a better.
Oh, yeah. No, I guarantee that one went across the world. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty bad. I mean, heck, let's look at it this way. So Steve actually has a jersey where he actually had the name on the back as however. So if you go to our Twitter handle at BRB Fancast, you can actually see his jersey that somebody took a picture of when he was in the supporter section for a game. And that puppy went everywhere. Holy moly, Steve.
Yeah. It's like, I wanted to think about, there's one moment that City fans will never forget. And I think that's it. I think this is going to be one moment, one word that City fans 15, 20 years from now will be able to, that saw it, will be able to say, holy shit, I remember seeing that. And so like, yeah, I think that's it. So I think for a viral moment, the guy that did ours is more impactful just because of the moment and like why he did it. And I think that the ref in the RSL game was just trying to explain what happened. But there was this, it caught fire because it was another however moment.
Yeah. So Steve, this is the sad part of every day when we have to start to wrap up and say bye and say, see you next week. I know it's kind of sad. Do you want to tell our viewers, where can they find us online? Perhaps maybe send us a direct message to say hi. Maybe they have a question, or maybe they want to join us for a segment. Well, how would they get a hold of us?
We happen to have a way. That way is
what? Really?
It's nuts. It is nuts. But we are on Twitter at BRB Fancast. We are on YouTube at, guess what, BRB Fancast. And you can send us messages and direct links there. You can Google our show and you'll see us on Weebly. We have a brbfancast.weebly.com. You can email us right from that site. You can find us on Facebook. I am on as BRB Fancast Steve and as May Zipper. And AJ's over there at BRB Fancast. AJ, you'll see us running around, posting polls occasionally, trying to do some interactive things. So you'll see us on there. Go ahead, hit us up. We love to see you guys. Message us, and we would love to be able to have you on the show and hang out with us too. So those are the main ways right there.
All right, guys. Well, on that note, it was a pleasure talking with you all. And next week we will beat Kansas City, because who cares about the playoffs at this point? Because we're not quite mathematically eliminated, but we basically are. But you cannot let Kansas City eliminate us.
You can't let Kansas City be part of it. So, like, I did see that because Minnesota won, any points won by Minnesota for the last 4 games or any points dropped by St. Louis the rest of the season is our elimination. But you know what? It doesn't matter to me because Kansas City lost. They were eliminated before we were this season. So that's all that matters.
Yeah. All right, Steve, what do we say at the end?
For City, baby.
Dun, dun, dun.